Hey everyone, welcome to the Evening Reader. My name is Priscilla and I'll be your host today. I don't know why. I felt like I wanted to say that. That was like, that's the thing that popped into my head after saying hello. Yeah, I'm here today to do a tag video. I am doing the Hot or Not tag created by Greg at Another Bibliophile Reads. I will put Greg's video in the description box down below. I was tagged by Heather Reads and Alex Unabridged both to do this tag. So thanks to both of them for tagging me. I will also include their videos in the description box down below. And if you have not checked out their channels, please do so. Without further ado, and I'm looking over here because this is where the prompts are. But I'm going to try to keep looking back at where I think I'm looking at the camera. Oh, the trials have made me. Anyway, okay, so here are the rules of engagement. Everybody's done this. Everyone's done this tag. So you've probably seen like everyone doing it. And it has been one of the most fun tags. So, you know, I was really excited to get tagged to do this one. So, rules of engagement. Try to be fast and on topic. There can always be exceptions and it depends explanations, but go for the gut reaction to the prompt in general terms. Pick either hot or not. Okay. A. Audiobooks. I'm going to break the rules right away. Lukewarm? Lukewarm but getting warmer? I've figured out a hack. I have figured out an audiobook hack, and I do believe that the hack is this. If I've read the book, then I can listen to the audiobook. If I haven't read the book, audiobooks just don't work for me. My attention just wanders. It just wanders right away. I don't know why. I've tried everything. I've tried listening to an audiobook while I cook, while I do housework, while I go for a walk, and I zone out. Fiction, nonfiction, it doesn't matter. It's very frustrating. I don't know why, because I can listen to podcasts and the same thing doesn't happen. But with audiobooks, I just go away. However, the exception is things that I've already read. I recently found out with my Spotify subscription, no, this is not any kind of plug, but with the membership that I have, I now get 15 hours of audiobook time. And I started listening to Tom Lake, narrated by Meryl Streep. Okay, maybe it's just Meryl Streep who's making it work. But I found that I was really engaged with it and have been enjoying listening to it. And so I am also going to be doing an audiobook for Remember December, but more on that in my Remember December post coming up on Sunday or Monday. Okay. B. Bildungsroman. Dealing with a person's formative years or spiritual education. I have the same answer here that Sarah from Hardcover Hearts had, which is yes. If it's dealing with the person's development, but not so much with a person's spiritual education, that's not really my thing. But I would say, yeah, for the most part, if it's sort of, maybe if it's like sort of more secular, sort of, yeah, yes. C. Children's books. Not hot. No, not really. I don't have kids, but I don't know. I quit reading children's books at a pretty early age. I mean, around the age of probably 10 or 11, I had moved on to, I don't know, what very few teen books were offered back then, like in the early 80s, and then mostly started reading adult books. Like I was reading like Jane Eyre and Rebecca and Giant by Anna Ferber and that sort of thing in 6th, 7th grade. So yeah, not so much. D. Digital. Hot, super hot. I always love having a Kindle book on the go. I love being able to read anywhere because I read on my phone, which I would show you, except that I'm recording on my phone. I love the fact that I can always have a book with me. A lot of my favorite books, I have both a digital copy and a physical copy, so that if the mood strikes or if I'm somewhere and I want a comfort read and I want to be able to read a book that feels just comforting and familiar, I can do so from my phone. So yes, super hot. Experimental. Lukewarm, sometimes hot, sometimes not. I mean, that one just, oh, that really depends. I don't really like experimental books I don't like it when I feel like an author is more busy showing me how clever they are, or how, or really sort of making things so opaque that I feel shut out of a narrative. And so, yeah, maybe that's a me problem and not an experimental fiction problem. But I like it sometimes. Like, I really enjoyed Milkman by Anna Burns. I don't know if you'd really call, it's just really stream of consciousness. I don't know if that would necessarily be considered experimental. I have Duck's Newburyport. I started reading it at one point and then just decided it wasn't the right time, but I really liked it. But I didn't feel like shut out of those, whereas I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but there have been things that I have just, kind of tossed aside because I'm like, really? I mean, you're working that hard to sort of make it like, oh, you don't get me, you can't get me. Like, no, that doesn't work for me. Fantasy, hot, I guess. Hot for some authors. Hot but picky. I really like Robin Hobb. I read the Tolkien books, so if it's good fantasy, I like it. N.K. Jemisin, I read. Oh gosh, I'm gonna want to call it The Fifth Element, but I don't think it's The Fifth Element. I think that's the Luc Besson movie. Anyway, but yeah, some fantasy, yes. Graphic novels, no, not hot, not hot. Was never into comics. And I tend to forget about graphic novels. It's not that I appreciate them as I like the idea of them. I like the idea of them as an art form and as a narrative form. Maybe I, need to take some time and try to spend some time reading graphic novels, but it's not something I've ever done, and I just tend to forget that they exist. Okay. Horror. No, not horror. No. I mean, I do like some authors who write horror. I'm not against it. It's just not a go-to for me. Inspirational. No, not hot. J, journalism. Yes, hot. I guess I'm not really sure what this means by journalism, but I'm assuming that is like nonfiction length books written by journalists. Super hot, super hot. I love David Grann. I love Janet Malcolm. I really loved Say Nothing by Patrick Radden Keefe. I love reading that sort of investigative, deep dive look at certain things in book length. That is really appealing to me, so I hope I have that, but yeah. Kitsch has popular or sentimental appeal. Not hot. No, I don't do any kitsch stuff, like Chicken Soup for the Soul kind of thing, I guess is what that would be. But no. Library. Hot when I had one. There is a library here, of course. There's a public library here. It has an English section. The English section tends to have more classics, a lot of mysteries, thrillers, and more backlist titles. I have considered getting a membership to it, and here it's a paid membership if you are over the age of 12. So it's sort of, it's not super expensive. It's about 65 euros a year. And if you are also, I believe, over 60 years of age, then you have a lower cost. But it just isn't something that I have done, because I used to use the library to read newer books, debuts or things that were new releases, and I could check those out and see, if I wanted to actually add them to my shelves, if they were things that I wanted to reread. That's really not as possible here, so I'm really all for the library. I think it's a wonderful thing. If I still lived in Atlanta, I would be using it all the time. But no, not so much. I'm not using it here. But hot in general. M, mystery. Hot. I love mysteries. I love mysteries, and I don't read enough mysteries. And I probably don't read enough mysteries just because it's so hard to get into series. It's hard for me to get into series. I'll read one book or two books of a series, and then I will move on to something else. This is also my problem with things like fantasy, because a lot of those types of books tend to be in series, and I'll read one and then not read the next 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One mystery series that I have, that I did read very faithfully was Tana French's Dublin Murder Squad series. I absolutely love Tana French, and I want her to write another one. I know she has a new book coming out called The Hunter. I think it comes out in February or March of 2024. I've pre-ordered it because we are in no-buy, read your own books mode. So yeah, I mean, sure that I was going to have that one on the list. But yeah, no, I love mysteries though. And I would love to get more into mysteries. And the idea of a mystery series is always so appealing, but I can't make it work. And nonfiction. So I guess this kind of goes back to journalism. That kind of nonfiction is probably my favorite type of nonfiction. Something that really dives into a topic deeply and is well researched. I also like, or like the idea of, like the books by Stacy Schiff. I'm very interested in reading those. I've got Cleopatra, but I haven't read it. I wanted to read her book on witches. And then I think there was another one of hers that I wanted to read. I'm not a big biography reader. I used to read a lot of biography when I was young, like when I was a teenager and when I was in college. I don't so much anymore, but I do like, I tend to like more like political biographies or, you know, historical figures. Not so much biographies of writers, because it just tends to be like, I don't know, too much information and not always something that's really relevant. That said, I have the Larry McMurtry biography right there on my shelf and my busted package from DHL. That's another story. So yeah, nonfiction, hot. Omnibus, not hot. I don't want a big book that's full of other books. It's impossible to hold. I don't like the way they look on shelves. I don't really find them very useful. I think that was something, though, that I really did like when I was younger, when I was a kid. I think I had one that was Louisa May Alcott. It had a bunch of her books that was in one big book, and I really loved it, but, you know, as an adult, no, not so much. Poetry. Hot? I would like for it to be hot, but it's really not hot for me. I wish that it were. I mean, I do have poets that I love, but I don't seek out poetry. It's not something that I read regularly. It is something that I wish that I read more of, but again, sort of like graphic novels. It's not that I forget about it. It's just that my go-tos are always prose, and there's only so much time. I guess that's what it really comes down to. Q, quests. When the protagonist goes on a quest, physical or spiritual. I'm really sure about, I guess quests and Bildungsroman are kind of the same, really, in a way. Would you think? I don't know. Yeah, sometimes lukewarm. It depends. Again, you know, like I really love the Robin Hobb books. I read Lord of the Rings. That's all good. I guess there are probably other books that are not fantasy that are also quest books, but I can't think of them off the top of my head. Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. Well, lukewarm. Or romance. No, I'm not a big romance reader. I sometimes like to read romance just to check it out. I like romantic comedies, but I do find that a lot of the time it's just, stuff's just so, the tropes are just so obvious. It's like not always enjoyable. I tried to read Emily Henry's Book Lovers earlier this year. I didn't totally love it. I loved the first half of it. It was funny and there was a lot of wisecracking and it was great. And then it just kind of fell apart for me. I like Catherine Center, but she writes really light books. They're somewhat predictable, but I feel like she does give her characters a little bit more depth and a little more seriousness. And I'm not opposed to romance if it appears in other things that I'm reading, literary fiction, I guess. And, you know, I put up a poll. Sorry, side note. I put up a poll earlier today about the Goodreads Choice Awards because Curtis Sittenfeld's romantic comedy is listed under romance. And I guess that book is a romance, but I don't know. I still consider it more, I guess, literary fiction, or maybe it's probably commercial or upmarket fiction or whatever all those stupid categories are. But yeah, I thought that was kind of funny. I did read that book earlier this year and really enjoyed it. So I don't know. Romance. I mean, it's not my go-to. What can I say? Science fiction, S. No, not really. Sorry. I tend to think that a lot of science fiction is just really badly written. It's like, it may be interesting, but as far as like world building and concepts and things like that, but overall, I just find it is the little science fiction that I have read is just not very well written. I don't know how anybody reads Isaac Asimov. There, I said it. Oh God, he's terrible, terrible, terrible writing. Okay, anyway, T translation. Hot, but I'm way back from the fire. I would like to read more translated fiction. I really would. It's something that I enjoy when I do read it. I think it's important. I think it's enriching, but am I good at making sure that I'm reading some percentage of translated fiction? No, I am not. So, yeah, okay. Ubermensch, the Superman, or the extraordinary human characters who can do everything. No. Hot, not hot at all. Boring, unrealistic, no. Unless it was like a comedy or irony, but then I guess they wouldn't really be an Ubermensch. So, like The Tick. The Tick is funny. But The Tick was a comic book. Anyway, we don't have to get into that now. Okay, V. Victorian. Okay, this is again, hot, but like I'm way back from the fire. I would like to really get into Victorian literature. That is an area I would love to delve into. It was something I used to feel that was not hot. I used to not like it. I used to look down on it. Because I was one of those 18th century British snobs, British literature snobs. I was not an 18th century British person. That would be weird. Although I feel like you would think I had aged really well. But, oh, I'm rambling. I got like 4 hours of sleep last night, so. Okay, W, Western. Hot, love a Western. 2 of my favorite books of all time are Westerns, although one's really the anti-Western, which is Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry. The other is True Grit by Charles Portis. But not so much the series Westerns, the Louis L'Amour, the Zane Grey. I did read Louis L'Amour, or tried to, when I was a girl. My grandfather had some Louis L'Amour books, and I'm sure I would read anything when I was a kid. I would just take anything off of a bookshelf and start to read it. So, but yeah, I mean, I do love a really well-written Paulette Giles, well-written Western. The Sun by Philip Meyer is a really good one. Oh, I don't know. I could make a list anyway. Xrated. I'm not going to seek it out, but if it shows up in something that I'm already reading, that's fine with me. So, Warm, I guess. Y, young adults. Not hot. just because it's, again, it's like graphic novels. It's not something that I seek out. I have read some really good YA. I've, you know, picked up recommendations, but like back when I had the book blog, I knew a lot of people who read some YA, and I picked some things up and really enjoyed them. But it's just not something that I seek out. So, you know, and Z Zeitgeist, spood. Don't try to read fast. Mood or spirit of the times. The spood. Both the spirit and the mood. Okay. I guess it depends. I guess it depends on what it is. I'm always a little concerned about hot takes on things that are super current, because I am not sure that we can do them any justice. Just like I don't particularly like awards, mainly because I feel that they're just always too soon to the fact. Like, I feel like there should be a lag time, like for book awards and movie awards and those kinds of things, to where, you know, sometimes things are really, really hot, or there's a really hot author, or everybody's talking about it, and it's just really, it's like, and same with some of the topics that come up, we can't really get a good view of it, maybe until we have had a little time to sort of step back and think about it, and you know, I don't know. That's just my take on it. But that said, like right now, I've read a couple of books. Yeah, a couple of books that talk about COVID, and I surprised myself by feeling like, okay, well, I'm ready to get into it. Oh yeah, Tom Lake and Lucy by the Sea, and very different books about people during COVID, and COVID is just always there, underneath, and then sometimes front and center. And I thought that I might not be ready to read a novel that was set during COVID, but that has worked for me. So it'll be interesting to see if that continues. Anyway, that's it. That's C. I did it. Okay. Well, I think pretty much all of BookTube has done this tag. So I am not going to tag anybody in particular. I'm going to tag you. If you have not done this and you have a channel, do this tag, because this is so much fun, and I would love to hear your answers. I have enjoyed listening to the answers across the board that have been, you know, the videos that have been popping up for the last few weeks. It has been a lot of fun. Anyway, I guess that's it for me. I'm going to keep this not that short, short for me. And I will be back on Sunday or Monday to talk about Remember December and December reading plans, and a little bit about what I read in November. I hope that you are well. I hope that you have wonderful weekend plans, and that you stay cozy and warm, or cozy and cool, depending on where you are. And I will see you again soon. Thank you. Thank you for being here and for visiting me. Take care. I'll see you soon. Bye.